Bro, please don't try to convince me at all that cats are a serious player in this game. All right? They're not. Okay? It doesn't help that I'm allergic to these animals. Okay, so that doesn't help. I'm going to go ahead and rate them immediately at the lowest tier humanly possible. All right, I would never want to main a cat ever. All right, in any server, it doesn't matter. They do have the ability to kind of like manipulate, though. Right, the longer you're around the cat, for some reason, right, the cat becomes like your owner. Right, I don't know what that is. That's a special power that is intriguing, right? Definitely intriguing. But I'm just not sure how a cat would actually function in this server. But either way, let's go ahead and check this out, guys. Let's jump into it immediately. How cats broke the game, coming from the channel Tier Zoo. Let's jump into it.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're very agile.
This game's tier list can seem
Oh
pretty
no! Okay, I didn't think about that. Okay, those are also cats. And big cats. Okay, all right. I was just only thinking personally about house cats. That changes things, okay? Depending on the type of cat it is, it may actually be, in fact, S tier. Specifically on like the African server. Oh my God, things go crazy out there.
set in stone sometimes. But in reality, major shifts in the meta can happen extremely quickly,
Okay.
especially when new resource hotspots and points of interest open up. Builds which are well adapted to capitalize on these flashpoints can see dramatic ascensions on the tier list. One such event occurred when humans unlocked the food storage ability. This greatly improved the humans' survivability by giving them a consistent source of XP even during harsh winters or famines. That is, if they could defend their stockpiles. These stashes were incredibly valuable and could easily support entire colonies of rats and sparrows if improperly guarded. And while these Neolithic humans did have some techniques they could use to try and protect their precious grain on their own, ultimately their saving grace came in the form of a previously low-tier predator build that was barely scraping by in the North African savanna, the Wildcat. A build which, once domesticated, would go on to become one of the most oppressive, overpowered predators in the current meta. But what is it about the house cat that makes it such a dominant threat? And how was it that the Wildcat became better suited at taking advantage of pest infestations than other builds? To really explain the success of the house cat, we need to go way back and start our story just after the Miocene balance patch.
Okay.
This update granted mammals access to a new ability called Carnassial Teeth, a side grade of the Dentition skill tree, which allows users to gain bonus XP from carcasses and carrion sources. This may seem like a minor thing, but it completely changed up the metagame and made hyper-carnivorous builds a lot more viable, giving rise to a new archetype called the Carnivoran, a group which includes many of the most popular predator builds in the current meta. Carnivorans are divided into two factions, Caniforms and Feliforms. Caniforms are more generalist in nature and invest a lot into the olfaction skill tree, letting them track the scents of whatever they need, be it scavengeable carrion, prey, fruit, honey, water, or teammates, from a great distance.
Wait, a bear is one of these caniforms? Good. Keep this in mind here. When it comes to animals, I'm completely ignorant. All right, so I may say some things occasionally that are just like a child would know that. Don't expect me to know that. What is a bear? Okay, like I know what a bear is. You know, it's a bear, right? But what family does the bear fall in? It's obviously not a cat. I don't think so, right? I think it's a dog. I think a bear is a dog, whatever that is. The caniform, most likely canine, right? Potentially. Now that build is impressive. The bear build? Yeah.
Carrion, prey, fruit, honey, water, or teammates from a great distance. They also tend to have a lot of stamina, allowing them to run for long distances without tiring. Feliforms, on the other hand, doubled down on the Carnivoran archetype's original strategy. They spec'd into even more abilities meant to crank up the efficiency of the hyper-carnivore game plan. The ability Tongue Papillae allows felids to extract even more value from fresh kills. Instead of investing heavily into scent-based sensory power, Feliforms tend to focus more on their hearing and eyesight abilities. This doesn't help them scavenge, since things like carcasses and berries don't make sound, but it does make them incredibly good at detecting hidden prey. Also, in keeping with the Carnivoran's first major advancement, Feliforms also focus a lot more heavily on specialized dentition.
Why would one do that?
Optimizing their bite attacks to deal massive puncture damage. and more effectively hold onto prey so the user can deal bonus damage with their claws. Throw in a few more ambush-focused abilities like retractable claws and camouflage fur patterns, and you've arrived at the modern Felid, easily one of the most successful stealth assassin builds the game has ever seen. In fact, during the Ice Age expansion, Felids were such a dominant threat that many other Predator builds had trouble competing with them at all. In the current meta, cats remain incredibly dominant in virtually every major terrestrial server.
So I definitely figured that that cats were going to absolutely dominate the African server, like no doubt here. In terms of Asia, I can definitely, yeah, Africa and Asia, definitely. Australia, not so much, right? Isn't that the dingo ate my baby area, guys? I think so. South America, I didn't expect that, but being that South America fits perfectly into this little pocket here, right? It would make all the sense in the world that South America, and then I guess they'd go up and okay, all right, so. Cats are absolutely frightening on every single server, except for Europe and Australia. That's where I'm at. I'm going to sit right there on that.
Basically every cat, including the ones I like to throw shade at, is a threat. Not just to those of similar weight class, but even to builds that vastly outweigh them.
Whoa.
Although their power stat tends to be fairly modest among carnivores,
Yeah, I don't think
through
they're strong.
efficient use of critical hits,
Well,
a
house
skilled
cats.
Felid player can take down just about anything. While the majority of the Felid player base was off rampaging through the upper weight classes, an offshoot of the faction opted to forego larger size and instead chose to spec into a few new abilities, meant to capitalize on exploiting the weaknesses commonly found in the lower
crazy
weight classes.
Jump.
So let's finally start unpacking what makes the house cat so overpowered. We'll begin with a quick look at the cat's stats. We've got a build with upper mid-level intelligence, low
Okay.
defensive stats, decent damage, above average stealth, high mobility, and excellent perception.
All right, but definitely a terrible defense stat. Again, I personally would not want to main this this player character, guys. I definitely would not want this to be my player character. I like the fact that it's moderately intelligent, and it's definitely extremely mobile and perceptive. The stealth stat is also solid, right? But the defense aspect of it, I mean, I don't know, bro. I think you can get wiped out pretty easily by a lot of other builds. Like, I mean, where there is a house cat, there's a dog. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure that a house cat would have the ability, truthfully, to take down one of the caniforms, guys. I don't know about that.
Right off the bat, something that might jump out at you is, well, the fact that nothing jumps out at you. Cats are supposedly some of the most broken predators of all time, and yet none of their stats seems all that busted on their own. Top tier builds tend to have at least one stat that is so high it completely invalidates the strategies of other players.
Right.
But no, cats aren't able to use tools, they don't have a bone-crushing or venomous bite, they can't change colors, they can't tank attacks for days, they can't echolocate, and so on. So no obvious answer here. Next, let's check out their
Schrodinger's cat.
they can't echolocate, and so on. So no obvious
I think this is confirmation of Schrodinger's cat, guys. If you didn't know.
answer here. Next, let's check out their unique abilities. We talked about a few already, including the abilities that buff the XP rates from meat sources. These should not be understated, as without them you can pretty much entirely write off the viability of this build. Cats, and all other mammals, have the warm-blooded trait. This grants them greatly improved stamina regen rates, greater resistance to cold damage, and a bunch of other useful perks, but at the cost of much greater upkeep requirements, meaning they need to secure kills much more frequently than similarly sized cold-blooded builds. Without these abilities granting the cat bonus XP from meat, it would be very difficult for them to keep up with their energy needs, even with how efficient cats are.
That's also a terrible build, bro. Koi, what's the purpose? What's the purpose? I mean, they're pretty, right? They're pretty. I guess we can eat them too, right? But that's a terrible player character. Just be fully aware. Like, what would be the purpose of playing as a koi?
Are at hunting. Cats can also move extremely quietly due to their soft toe pads and retractable claws, enabling them to easily get within striking range of prey through smart use of cover and line of sight. But okay, all types of cat, large and small, have those abilities. How about something more unique to house cats? For that, let's look at their primary perception-based ability, Slitted Pupils. This ability grants house cats extremely precise depth perception, greater than all other felids. This allows them to perfectly judge the optimal pouncing distance, massively increasing their odds of landing an immediate critical hit and incapacitating their target before it has a chance to respond. So even though the house cat's base damage isn't broken in and of itself, when a house cat goes on the offensive, it can certainly look that way. This strategy is what has led to the complete collapse of several different player bases in the amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal factions, as it truly is that oppressive. Now, while we were first looking at the cat's base stats, one thing you might have assumed right away was that the cat's lower defensive stats are its main weakness, and that
Yes.
cats function as a sort of glass cannon, with very little counterplay options when attacked. You might
Well, I will say though, I have played a couple of games where I was definitely the glass cannon build, and this is definitely a very fun playthrough, guys. It is. I mean, you're gonna get one-shotted everywhere you go, right? But the glass cannon build makes all the sense in the world. I didn't even think about that here. I did not. Okay, yeah, the house cat is OP. It is. Like, if you call it a glass cannon, I comprehend it. And now, yes, the house cat is definitely OP, bro.
I also assume that given the cat's high mobility, their primary defensive strategy is simply to run away when they feel threatened. And while their top speed is often enough to escape danger when needed, instead, cats employ their mobility stat defensively in a different way. This is where one of the most shockingly effective aspects of the house cat manifests. House cats use their incredible agility to stand their ground. Agility and quick reflexes are usually used to dodge attacks, but cats instead actually use the reflexes to deflect them. Because their incredible depth perception grants them such high accuracy on their attacks, they can use their claw swipe attack to actually block incoming strikes. This is surprisingly consistent and works on a lot more attacks than you might think. Now,
Okay.
obviously, this is a high-skill, high-reward strategy.
you running?
Missing a
Oh,
parry can result in serious damage, but if you get good enough at this, you can ward off attacks from just about anything, and potentially even open up opportunities for counterattacks. Put all this together, and you come to understand what a house cat build truly is. A house cat is what you get when you fuse the deadliness of a snake with the energy of a mammal. But why does this playstyle make for such a good partnership with human players? Compared to dogs, they seem like they'd be much less useful party members. Humans broke the game and became the top-tier build by using coordinated team strategies and tool use in order to utterly trivialize their matchup versus large mammals. Dogs easily slot right into this game plan, as they can help track and chase down large prey, and also sniff out any potential ambush predators that could disrupt and punish this strategy. When a successful kill is made, dogs and humans naturally split the reward and both benefit. Dogs are also great defensively, as they can keep watch at camp and alert party members of approaching enemies.
Was that a French
Cats
bulldog?
are generally pretty useless in this regard. They don't have anywhere near the endurance required to chase down prey over long distances, can't square off head-to-head with those builds anyway, and aren't nearly as reliable for early enemy alerts. The kills the cat makes can't realistically be shared with humans either. It wasn't until humanity unlocked the agriculture ability that the player base began to notice additional vulnerabilities they didn't need to care about before. Vulnerabilities that dogs couldn't really help with. When operating off of a hunter-gatherer strategy, humans could basically ignore all builds in the low weight class. Rats and birds were no threat to humans and also not worth the effort to take down, so it makes sense for them to just focus on larger quarries.
Bro, what are you
However,
eating?
when the focus shifts to farming and food storage, those same builds humans were ignoring before suddenly became one of
Yeah,
their
now they're
biggest
everywhere.
threats. Having a granary raided and its food reserves destroyed could easily wipe out an entire human settlement. So figuring out proper security for these storage sites was critical.
You chose a
Dogs
cat?
simply are not effective enough at stopping pest infestations to fill that role. They cannot climb or fit into small spaces and aren't stealthy enough to catch the trickier pests. Cats, on the other hand, are truly excellent at this task and come with other benefits as well. The main one being that they require very little upkeep. Although they are social builds, they hunt alone, so they don't require any direction or attention from their human party members
Oh, you increased your sneak.
in order to accomplish their task. Since humans don't have
I think that's the Skyrim server, guys.
any need for rat or bird carcasses, the fact that cats don't usually share their kills is actually a benefit rather than a drawback.
Really?
The only thing cats really require from humans is to share in the shelters they construct. In the
I mean, I don't know, bro. Listen, let me explain something to you, okay? Growing up, I'm allergic to cats, but my mother was like, "No, we're going to try to break that." And so what ended up happening is that I ended up living with the cat for about 10, 11 years, till the cat didn't exist anymore. Basically, when it went extinct, let's say. And I was able to start kind of dealing with that cat's saliva, because that's really what the allergy is. It's the cat's saliva attached to the hair, floating around the air. It just, bombards you, right? And I've noticed a couple of things about cats. They're definitely intriguing, right? They're definitely absolutely intriguing. But I don't know. I mean, one time the cat got outside, and it somehow found some type of mouse and it brought it home. Okay, it brought the mouse home. Okay, so I hear you, but I think the cat tried to share, because we fed it all the time. I think the cat tried to share the mouse with us, bro. Okay, I think so. I was there. I remember that, and that was disgusting.
In the wilderness, cats typically use burrows, hollow stumps, or caves as their home bases. But these are vulnerable to attacks. Human settlements are significantly safer. Speaking of safety, even though cats are extremely lethal hunters, they pose very little danger to humans. This is a huge advantage over snakes, which theoretically could ally with humans to serve the same purpose, but in practice are far too dangerous to risk keeping around. The fact that cats are warm-blooded and therefore need to eat more frequently than snakes is also a benefit rather than a drawback for humans, since it means they need to stay on task and keep their guard up. So, while it is common to see players debate which build makes for the better addition to a human player's party, the correct answer is actually both.
It's the dog.
Dogs are a huge help in the large creature matchup, while cats cover your weaknesses in the small creature matchups. Having both in your party covers all of your weaknesses, and enables human settlements to use a hybrid playstyle of both hunting and farming. So if you're a human main trying to construct the most optimal party comp, the only real question is how you'll keep the dog and cat players from fighting each other. Now, knowing which traits and abilities to invest in can be a difficult choice. Luckily for you, I've partnered with the game Cell to Singularity to provide you the perfect training simulation. Cell to Singularity is a scientifically accurate, non-fiction idle clicker game.
Guys, here, if you guys want it, there it goes. It's on the screen here. All right. Now, see, I am definitely a human main, but I would also like to main like another animal. I definitely would love to just like live that experience. That'd be great. What server? I don't know. Maybe like a lion. I think I would main a lion. I would, like on the African server though, exclusively. And I think that would absolutely be amazing. Okay. But either way, listen, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Yeah, I think cats broke the game. Didn't even think about it like that. I personally didn't even think of a house cat. But yeah, house cat, yeah, now that you're telling me, it's probably S tier. It's probably S tier. Yeah. He didn't tell us what tier it was. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping that he kind of put it on a list, but he didn't. He just spoke about the animal itself. But either way, listen, guys, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.
Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.